question. Before we get into the change, we need to understand what is triggering the changes. The triggering the changes are the customer behavior, the way customers' purchasing power is changing in various geographies. So accordingly, a lot of changes are happening. So the change number one, I believe banks are becoming more adaptable to various challenges which are coming in the industry, and accordingly they're focusing into fintech, they're focusing into digital platforms, and no bank in today's scenario can say that I can only cater to a particular client segment. The client segment may vary. So from that point of view, banks are very flexible. The payment solution providers are becoming more and more flexible through the solutions, through innovation, R&D, and also the pricing strategy. So these are the changes mainly which are happening. So flexibility, adaptability, absorbing or embracing new challenges or new technologies. So these are the things that are happening. And accordingly, we can see the regulators are getting changed, the banks are getting changed. So change is everywhere and change is constant. Banks, so again, there are a couple of things which are happening in today's scenario. One is banks are getting into a different mode, wherein they are trying and testing at cases. Some of the banks who are the followers, and some of the banks, I would not take the names, but there are banks who are the leaders. So they have already they have done a lot of innovations in the industry, and they have brought a lot of new technologies. Some of the technologies are doing pretty well. Mobile wallet, almost all the banks have launched mobile wallets. Some of the wallets are successful, some are not, because some are more equipped, some are not. So accordingly, others are following. So banks, number one, they are trying to establish themselves as a fintech player as well. There are banks who are opening up their fintech hub to offer solution, to cater to the new customer requirements, etc. Banks are partnering with new fintech companies in order to control the kind of competition they're having right now. So these are the things, and innovation perspective, more and more investment into research and development. These are the things happening right now in the industry. There are banks who are investing significantly into research and development. New digital competitors are coming, but one thing we need to understand, these digital competitors who are coming, like Alipay, like WeChat Pay, or any other competitors in the region or from outside, they always require a bank at the back end to maintain the escrow account. From that point of view, banks are very safe, but at the same time, from technology point of view, banks need to innovate, banks need to be flexible, and they want to adapt to new technologies. So yes, competition is always there, and I believe that is something good happening in the industry. Because if we can embrace this kind of changes, if you can have this kind of competition going on in the market, that is healthy, that is good for everybody to go for the new challenges, to go for the new products, and at the end of the day, customers would get the benefit out of it. So my question would be, is it required to stay immune to those challenges, to those competition, or can we work together with them? Because the competition the competition banks are coming across, that is good for the industry, that is good for the society, that is good for the customers. Just to give you an example, suppose I'm an Indian, I go back to India and I see the customer can be onboarded in 30 minutes. Still in this region, in certain countries, customer onboarding takes a lot of time. So if I come back in the region and if I go to a bank and say that, why don't I get the same kind of privilege? Why don't I get the same kind of facility? Same thing happens in other countries also. So with due respect, so customers are aspiring more, customers' behaviors get changed, and accordingly banks are more and more innovative in today's scenario. So these challenges are very good. Digibanking, there are banks who are creating their own standalone platform, which is Digibank platform, which is separate from the core banking platform. That is also happening in some cases. But these are good initiatives being taken by banks or financial institutions to go with basic banking facility, and this is a part of financial inclusion as well, wherein banks are offering basic banking facility to extreme corners of the industry. So which is very good. We should embrace this. So I don't think this is a challenge. Yes, this is a challenge, but unless there is a challenge, you cannot develop, you cannot grow. So this is important. 5 years predictions would be very interesting. So if I would not go into the numbers, there is a study recently happened and is done by Visa, wherein you can see that if you go into digitization, you can get 2.2 billion additional revenue coming into the industry through digitization. But let's not get into that, because that's to achieve that, you need to go through a long path. You need to follow a certain steps. So let's not get into that. Let's get into a scenario wherein what is realistically achieved. For that, I believe I can see or foresee a lot of flexibility from central bank or regulatory bodies, which is very, very required in order to sustain. Number two would be digitally empowered solutions or platforms to be offered in the present in the current scenario. And end of the day, I believe customer journey or customer experience would be much more smoother, starting from onboarding till the end when the customer is going out of the bank. So the entire journey would be much more smoother than what is going on right now, because that is the last thing which banks are looking at right now, or even the solution providers are looking at. So from that point of view, I believe we are going towards the right direction, and any competition and every competition is good for us.